In the TV show The Handmaid's Tale, the character June is a handmaid who fights against the oppressive society in which she lives. She insists on her right to freedom and to be treated as a human being, even though it means going against the rules and risking punishment. The show presents her as a hero who is willing to stand up for what is right, even in the face of extreme adversity. The idea that those who insist on their rights are bad and difficult is a common misconception in many societies. This belief stems from the idea that asserting one's rights can be seen as confrontational or selfish, and those who do so are often perceived as being unreasonable or difficult to work with. However, in reality, insisting on one's rights is not always a negative trait. Rather, it should be encouraged. During the civil rights movement in the United States, African Americans who fought for their rights were often viewed as troublemakers and agitators. However, those who advocated for civil rights and asserted their convictions are now recognized as heroes who were willing to risk their safety and well-being to fight for justice and equality. According to a survey by the Pew Research Center, African Americans are more likely than other demographics to say that it is necessary to take actions to achieve equal rights. This suggests that those who assert their rights may be seen as difficult or confrontational, particularly in situations where there is a power imbalance. Insisting on one's rights is essential in promoting fairness and justice. Rights are established to protect individuals and ensure that they are treated with respect and dignity. By asserting one's rights, individuals are demanding that they be treated fairly and that their voices are heard. This is especially important in situations where there is a power imbalance or where individuals are vulnerable to exploitation or discrimination. Those who insist on their rights often exhibit a strong sense of self-respect and self-worth. They understand that they have the right to be treated with dignity and are willing to stand up for themselves when their rights are being violated. This requires courage and a willingness to speak out against injustice, even in the face of opposition. Insisting on one's rights can also be seen as a sign of responsibility and accountability. Those who assert their rights are holding others accountable for their actions and are demanding that they be held to a set of standards and expectations. This requires a strong sense of discipline and commitment to upholding one's values and principles. Some may argue that insisting on one's rights can be perceived as confrontational or uncooperative. Those who assert their rights may be seen as lacking in empathy or consideration for others, and may be seen as causing unnecessary conflict. However, it is important to note that asserting one's rights does not necessarily mean being confrontational or uncooperative. It simply means that one is committed to upholding a set of standards and expectations and is willing to take the necessary action to ensure that they are met. According to cognitive dissonance theory, individuals have a tendency to seek consistency in their attitudes and behaviors. This can lead to a reluctance to change one's beliefs, even in the face of contradictory evidence. This can help to explain why individuals may resist those who assert their rights, as it may challenge their existing beliefs and values. The idea that those who insist on their rights are bad and difficult is a misconception that is not rooted in reality. Insisting on one's rights is an important trait that promotes fairness, justice, and accountability. It requires courage, responsibility, and a strong sense of self-respect and self-worth. While some may perceive those who assert their rights as confrontational or uncooperative, it is important to recognize that asserting one's rights does not preclude one from being empathetic or considerate. Ultimately, those who insist on their rights are essential to promoting a just and equitable society. We must challenge our preconceptions and recognize that asserting our rights can be a sign of strength and resilience. It is important to understand that standing up for ourselves and others is not a sign of aggression or confrontation, but can instead lead to positive change and progress. If you like this video, share it and subscribe to this channel.